happening, guys? I'm JR, day 2 of Big Apple Comic Con. I am standing here with one of our favorites, Neil Kaplan. How you doing, Neil?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. It's been a nice weekend here at Big Apple.
It's not been bad. It's been an amazing turnout. Did you see it today?
Yep. And for me, as I tell people, I'm a geek on both sides of the table. I sign autographs, but I also turn around and geek out over seeing Chris Knight, Michelle Nichols, John Schneider, these people who I enjoyed watching in my youth. And then, of course, when you get the chance to meet them and they're actually nice people as well, that's just so awesome.
A little uplifting.
It really is. It really is. Not everybody's William Shatner. Oops, sorry. Anyway.
So we talked to Neil several times in Philly, so if you guys want to see that, go to... Several times.
Well, I think only once on camera.
Oh, yeah, was it just once on camera?
It was just like hanging out in my booth.
Okay, honestly, we were hanging out at Neil's booth in Philly. But we did talk to him in Philly, so if you guys want to check that out, UFragTV.com, just check it. There's one of those from Philly. Thank you for joining us in New York and talking to us again. So how many of these cons do you end up getting to do?
It really varies depending on, especially with voiceover work, depending on the popularity of what it is that you've worked on or are working on. So with StarCraft 2 getting ready to ramp up, there's a lot more interest in having me come on by. And it also depends on places like that I want to go visit. If it's a place that I really want to go visit and it fits in my schedule, sometimes I'll contact them and kind of say, hey man, you got a party going on, how about having me? So sometimes it works. We've got a few lined up. I'll be going out to Tennessee later on in 2010 and out to Wales and up to Calgary and doing some fun stuff. And of course always San Diego, but that's as a fan on the other side of the table.
Right. So we were talking earlier about your shirt. Awesome shirt.
Thank you.
Can you tell us a little bit about it?
And of course is one of a kind. It's I hate to say hand done because it was done by Airbrush from Air Assassins. They did a really nice job. Saw their work out at the VG Expo in Philly and kind of went, I need me a Tychus Finley shirt, man. Because this character is just so freaking cool. So he made it up for me and it just looks bitchin', so I'm a walking billboard.
Yeah, I like it, man. Talk to me a little bit about voice acting.
Okay.
Tell me a little bit about the industry of voice acting. Maybe a little too broad. How do you get into something?
Oh, Jiminy Christmas. That is the $64 million question. Pretty much it starts off with acting. It really always starts off with acting. I mean, people can talk, and we all know people who do funny voices and stuff like that, but the key is I tell my students, because I actually teach voiceover at the American Musical and Dramatic Academy in Hollywood. It's actually an elective class toward a Bachelor of Fine Arts degree, maybe the first program like that in the country, and I'm really proud of it. But I tell them, if you can't do the voice for 4 hours, if you can't do it for the whole job, don't audition for it. So when people come up to me in a booth and say, I do this really scary voice, it's like, can you do that for 4 hours? No! Then you don't do it. Okay, then just, because realistically, you're going to book it on a video game, you're going to have to do it, you're going to be having to scream it out, and having to do 17 takes of it, and if you can't keep it up, you're letting the producers down. But acting is pretty much it's the base of it all. People come to me and say, oh, I can't get into voiceover acting because I'm not as versatile as you. And I say, oh, so you're not as versatile as the guy who did the voice of Darth Vader? Or the guy who did the voice of Mufasa? Or the guy who says, this is CNN? Because really, such versatility. I mean, but let's face it. I could give you from now until the end of time, and you won't come up with somebody who would have been better Mufasa or better Darth Vader. You may come up with somebody who would be as good as James Earl Jones, and along those same lines, you're never going to confuse a line that he does as Mufasa for a line that he does as Darth Vader. And that's not just post-production and the way they alter the voice at all. It's the performance. It really is. So you've got to act first and foremost, and then serve it with your voice. It's not one of those things. Kind of getting back to one of the things I heard at BlizzCon when we were there, Trisha Helfer, who's in StarCraft 2, was talking about her experience as a voice actress and was saying, look, when I'm doing Battlestar, I've got a gun in my hands. And I see the wall of the Battlestar Galactica. And I see, the colonial troops coming at me. Yeah, I know they're actors, but still, it's not that great a leap in my imagination. But when I'm doing voiceover acting, none of it's there. And it was so nice to hear an on-camera actor finally come through with that kind of acknowledgement, because we're not saved by camera angles, we're not saved by special effects, we're not saved by a lot of post-production tricks. If you're not there hitting the marks, acting, people will hear it. They really, really will, you know?
In that, how important is voice directing for you then? Like, can you get a job and not have good direction and completely affect that?
Well, absolutely. It's like, to me, and I've had this discussion with another voiceover actor who seems to think that that a lot of our work is done, we call it wild. It means you record a line by itself. You could record your entire performance by yourself, and a lot of feature animation is done that way, where they will have an actor in all day long recording all their dialogue, or they're in for a week, they record it all, and then somebody else has to come in later and lay the line before your line. Well, I know a voice actor who thinks that that's all in the editing. But I've looked back on it and really thought about it, and logically I can't see how that's the case, because if your director is not really telling you how these two things go together, or for instance, you know, Andrea Romano, who is the voice director for StarCraft 2, I mean, she and Chris Metzen would let me know, I mean, there's Zerg coming, and, you know, and they really set the scene for you. You're being overrun. And, you know, I may not have ever been overrun by Zerg, but in my imagination, I can achieve that. I can understand where that comes from. But without the good direction, I don't know where to access that from. I don't know how these two things fit together. So to me, I think when you're working wild, direction is the most important thing, besides having decent actors as well, and a good script.
Can you tell us a little bit about what that's like? If you walk into a booth, you have the microphone, you have the director telling you, is it, you know, give me 3 of these, give me 3 of those, and then you're done for the day? Tell me.
You know, sometimes it can be. Sometimes literally, like when you're doing a video game, most of your sessions will end with punches and deaths and kicks and groans and stuff like that, and then 3 in a row, you know, so they can kind of pick the best one and not leave it. And even when you do kind of nail something sometimes, most directors, more often than not, will say, let's get another one for safety. Because it's like, just in case there was a glitch on the computer, it sounded great, but just to get another one in the can. And of course there are the occasions that, because we're actors, you know, we may come up with something different that they didn't think of. You know, so it's like, okay, do this one for yourself. And like, especially for StarCraft, because it was so well written, and I really had such a good handle on the character, there would be times that I would record it, they'd be happy with it, and I'd actually say, can I give you an alt? Can I give you an alternative? And 9 times out of 10, Chris Metzen would say, yeah, that's the one.
You'll find something else there.
Yeah, exactly, you know, because he's written it so well, and I understand the character so well, and I'm in his boots, and it's like, he wouldn't say that here, he would say this, you know, but it's just a safety, it's having that extra time and doing that extra take, and of course, if you don't have a director that, of course, is secure enough in their own talent, they don't want you going off on your own,
right.
So that's another thing, is feeling secure enough and being able to, you know, round up, you know, all the dachshunds and get them in the pen, because there's lots of dachshunds in rodeo, you know. Anyway, but that again is really strong direction, and sometimes strong direction means hanging back and letting an actor go with their instincts.
Cool. The viewers are asking, of course, for a couple of voices, which you know is coming. So I'm hoping maybe we can play with it a little bit. Can we get maybe Tychus commanding the Autobots?
Hell, I don't know about that, man. That's not my style.
So how about if I whip out a little something that I used to like to do when recording Robots in Disguise? I'd get a little bored, and I would look at the script page and would say Optimus, Optimus, Optimus. And so, you know, after a little while, basically I had this other character going. So it's like, Optimus, transform! You know, so it's this totally different sort of a thing. So every now and then, you know, I'll be doing a script and I'll see a line. And I was doing this one script and I totally forget the game. And I usually don't remember lines, but this one line was, I strike from the shadows. It was like this really mean, kind of, ooh, scary. But of course I just had to go, I strike from the shadows. You know, it's just like, yeah! Assassin Bullwinkle!
So,
you know, sorry, that was Birdman.
So, do you ever accidentally slip into one like that? Reading Tychus getting overrun by Zerg, and all of a sudden you're Optimus Prime?
You know, not really. And here's the thing, and here's what really tends to protect the voice actor a lot of times, is when you're doing a voice, you'll slip and you'll slide. When you're playing a character, It pretty much is always.